Wake up, New York. We need you out here right now." The time was past 2 a.m., and Sammy was asleep on top of his truck. An hour earlier, from his perch on the vehicle, he had stripped down to his t-shirt and shorts and climbed into his sleeping bag with his 9mm pistol. The major had mercifully told him to get some rest. Sammy had been leading the convoy of 12 trucks for hours. It had been a month since they'd crossed the Kuwait-Iraq border. Each day they would drive a little closer to their destination, the ancient city of Babylon, set up their equipment, and take it down the next morning. The infantry units were always ahead of them, clearing the areas so that Radio Sector could set up its equipment in safety. And so far, Sammy hadn't seen any indication of a fighting enemy. In fact, as soon as they had passed the border, they started seeing uniforms laying indifferently on the ground, laced-up boots, military blouses, and even trousers, all tossed and discarded like broken umbrellas in a windy rainstorm. They drove by individual Iraqis and then groups of men, from a drip into a flow, many of them walking without shirts and shoes and in half-military uniforms. Sammy stared at them from his vehicle, and they looked back at him hard. He recalled what he'd been told before, that these guys were all murderers, that they didn't care about anything but killing, that they'd fight to the last tooth. But then here they were, just walking along the side of the road like farmers. That was all horseshit, he decided. They lied. They were trying to scare the living hell out of me, and there it was. It eased his mind to know that these Iraqis weren't putting up a fight. Maybe it would be like this the whole way, he reasoned. The logic was reassuring to a young, scared Marine. Crossing into Iraq had already frightened him more than he expected. When that had happened 3 weeks earlier, Sammy had led the formation from his vehicle, made up of concertina wire, high sand berms, rickety fences, and abandoned checkpoints. The country looked like a ghost town in brown, lit only with the lights of the vehicles passing by. As soon as he crossed, he saw the oil wells burning, the dark sky punctuated with huge fireballs circling psychedelic orange around them. I guess I really am in hell now, he thought. His nerves were getting to him as he was driving. Behind him, in the back seat, was an older Marine, a 20-year veteran who was videotaping the whole episode like a home movie of his beach vacation. Sammy, meanwhile, had a hard time concentrating. All he could think about was that this was happening for real, and he steered the vehicle right off the road. They were heading straight for the wall of an abandoned building when the major yelled at him. "What are you doing, specialist? Go this way," he screamed. And Sammy's head cleared right away. The veteran laughed at Sammy and just kept filming, as if this were all great fun. They passed peasant kids and their families on the road, and something interesting happened. The landscape began to remind Sammy of parts of Egypt, as did the grinding poverty, which was reminiscent of the streets of some neighborhoods in Cairo. People were walking around on cement in 120-degree heat, without shoes. They lived simply in makeshift houses. He found that the destination was causing him pangs of regret, and he wanted to give the people he passed something, but regulations barred it, out of fear of starting a riot. Eventually, he found ways around this. When he was riding in the other open vehicles, he would surreptitiously hand off 2-liter bottles of water cases of MREs, and wrapped Tootsie Rolls to people they passed. As his feelings of dread waned, his notions of kinship with the Iraqis were awakened. He told me later, I wanted to give them the kind of dignity. I wanted to give them that kind of dignity. If I did that, at least it would show some kind of humane feeling toward them, that we were not just here to murder everybody, that we were here to help. A few of his fellow Marines didn't take well to his sympathies. Fuck those guys. Get rid of them all, they would say. And then Sami would stop them and ask, do you really think we should just kill everybody here? Hell yeah, fuck them all, they replied. Sami would just shake his head, and they would call him terrorist. With his friends, at least, there was none of this talk. Come on, wake up. We need you out here right now. What happened? We got like 50 Iraqis coming toward us, and we need to search them all. We need you to speak to them. Wearing only his t-shirt, shorts, and boots, he climbed down off the truck. And there they were, a group of old men surrounded by Marines, armed to the teeth. The men were all on their knees in the gravel, looking lost and pathetic. PFC Andrews, a kid with an M16, was so wound up, so stressed out from not being able to shoot off his gun, and so pumped up by being this close to his Iraqi enemy that he was yelling and screaming at the elders with massacre in his eyes. Don't fucking move! Don't move! Don't move! He screamed, his fingers loose on his weapon. Sami shook the sleep out of his eyes and saw the situation for what it was. He looked at his fellow soldier in disbelief. Hey, Andrews, he said. Relax, these are just some old men. Let me get you on your knees on the gravel and see how long you can take it. Andrews told Sami to fuck off and mind his own business. Sami was getting more worried by the bloodlust he saw in Andrews' eyes, but at the same time, he worried that if he were seen showing too much mercy to the Iraqis, he would be branded as being soft on the enemy. I am wearing the name tapes that say U.S. Marine United States, but my parents are Arab, and I can't forget that, he told me. I wanted to treat them as good as I can without showing bias. It's not like I didn't want us to win the war or to rectify what happened, he said, referring to the September 11th attacks. I just wanted to be mindful of Arab people, to show some compassion. He decided to take advantage of his privileged position as the major's driver. Sami had been on excellent terms with the commanding officer since being assigned to him, and he had never met a man like the major before, fair, disciplined, and thoughtful. The man was a born Marine. Sami approached him. Hey, sir, he said. Can you tell Andrews to ease off a little bit? He threw in the request like it was nothing, like asking to be passed the plate of potatoes at the dinner table. But he was scared as to how this would look. It's not that serious, sir. There are a lot of old guys here. These people are kneeling on gravel. They've already been through enough. Can I get them to sit on their butts and not on their knees? All right, get them to sit on their butts. Thank you, sir. He told the men in Arabic how to sit, and he got what he wanted. He looked at Andrews, but rather than feeling relieved, he felt angry, almost irrationally upset. He could have punched the soldier in the face. He wanted to get in Andrews' face and scream at him, "What's wrong with you?" You act like you're all big and tough because you have a gun? What if the roles were reversed? What if you were the one on the ground? How would you feel? They've already been through hell. They've probably already had their houses blown up. God knows what happened to their families. And now you want to add undue pressure? Was he, this old Iraqi man, a threat to you? You've got 30 other Marines with guns here. Are you serious? But he didn't want to appear soft on the enemy, so he didn't say anything.